Introduction to Urban Development. Block 1 Urban Development, Concept and Dynamics. Unit 1 Urbanization, an Overview. 1.1 Introduction. The world is urbanizing very fast and more than 45% of the world's population today are residing in urban areas. According to an estimation, the world population is expected to increase by 72% by 2050, from 3.6 billion in 2011 to 6.3 billion in 2050. Customarily, urbanization means increasing population living in cities and suburb cities of a country. In 19th and 20th century, majority of the cities in the world are undergoing growth of urban population. In India also, urban population, which was 0.37% in 1951, has risen to 27.81% in 2001 and 31.16% in 2011, and is increasing day by day. According to Asian Development Bank, the national increase in net migration are the major contributory factors to urban growth. The share of world's population living in urban areas has increased from 39% in 1980 to 48% in 2000. However, urbanization without proper planning has given rise to several problems such as housing, sanitation, education, provision of safe drinking water, unemployment, etc., particularly in underdeveloped countries. This unit on urban development, an overview, will provide you information and knowledge regarding urbanization, its trends, impact and idea about sustainable urban development. After reading this unit, you will be able to explain meaning and trend of urbanization, narrate various causes of urbanization, discuss urbanization and urban problems, describe about sustainable urban development. 1.2 Urbanization, Concepts and Meaning. Urbanization is popularly defined as the rise of population in urban areas. United Nations perceives urbanization as movement of people from rural to urban areas. Mishra, 1998, defines urbanization in the following way: urbanization is not a product. It is a process by which a people, instead of living in predominantly dispersed agricultural villages, start living in towns and cities dominated by industrial and service functionaries. It involves multiplication of urban places or an increase in size of cities. Growth of urban population is only one of dimensions of urbanization. One of the eminent demographers, Kingsley Davis, has classified the process of urbanization into 3 stages. The stage 1 is the initial stage, characterized by traditional rural society with predominance in agriculture and dispersed pattern of settlement. The stage 2 is where proportion of urban population gradually increases from 25% to 40%, 50%, 60% and so on. This is otherwise called as the stage of acceleration, where basic restructuring of the economy and investments in social overhead capitals including transport, communication take place. The stage 3 is known as the terminal stage, where urban population exceeds 70% or more. According to Davis, at this stage, the level of urbanization remains more or less same or constant. Urbanization is derived from the Latin urbs, a term used by the Romans to a city. The Census of India has broadly categorized urban areas into following types. 1. Statutory towns, all places with municipality, corporation, cantonment, board, notified town area committees, etc. 2. Census towns, all villages with a minimum population of 5,000 persons in the preceding census, at least 75% of male main working population engaged in non-agricultural activities and a population density of at least 400 persons per square km. 3. Urban agglomerations, UAs, a continuous urban spread comprising one or more towns. 4. Urban growths, OGs, areas around a core city or town, such well recognized places like railways colony, university campus, port areas, etc. lying outside the limit of town. Table 1.1, number of urban agglomerations, towns and outgrowths in India. Look at the screen. However, in India, the municipal law classification of urban areas is different to that of the Census 1. The categories according to the municipal laws are as follows. 1. The municipal corporation having population about 3 lakh. 2. Municipal council with 1 to 3 lakh population and 3. Nagar panchayats having 5,000 10,000 population. The municipal council are further subdivided on the basis of their population, which is as follows. Type population. A or class 1 1 to 3 lakh. B or class 2 50,000 to 1 lakh. C or class 3 25,000 to 50,000. D or class 4 10,000 to 25,000. 1.2.1 Trends in urbanization. The 2005 data envisages that the world is projected to continue to urbanize and 60% of the global population is expected to live in cities by 2030. According to an estimation, the world population is expected to increase by 72% by 2050, from 3.6 billion in 2011 to 6.3 billion in 2050. After knowing about urbanization, let us now discuss the trend of urbanization in developed and developing countries. Urbanization is taking place in almost all the countries of the world. It is generally faster in developed countries as compared to developing countries. The figure given in Table 1 clearly reveals that the percentage of urbanization in developed countries is 76, while that of developing countries is 40. According to Asian Development Bank, the national increase in net migration are the major contributory factors to urban growth. The share of world's population living in urban areas has increased from 39% in 1980 to 48% in 2000. Table 1.2, Total urban and rural populations by development group, selected periods, 1950 to 2050. Look at the screen. 1.2.2 Trends in developed countries. The important trends in urbanization in the developed countries are suburbanization, urban renewal, gentrification and megalopolitan development. A. Suburbanization, one of the most significant changes in urban form that has happened in advanced capitalist countries in the 20th century is the growth of suburbs. It has taken place around the edges of major towns and cities. A suburb is an area of residence, a neighborhood of houses rather than mixed land use type of neighborhood found in the city proper. Suburbanization has primarily been caused by the migration of people into the countryside, escaping from the drawbacks of urban life. Customarily, suburbanization implies a separation between home and workplace. Perhaps the most important is relatively cheap transport, as transport connectivity extends the distance of suburbs from the central city. Since 1945, the rate of suburban growth in the USA has been tremendous. B. Urban renewal. Urban renewal is a continuous process of remodeling urban areas by means of rehabilitation and conservation as well as redevelopment. In urban renewal, the emphasis is given on those parts of the city which have fallen below current standards of public acceptability. They are commonly found to be in the residential part of the inner city and also in the central parts of the inner city, face problems of inadequate housing, environmental deprivation, social malaise and the presence of non-conforming uses. The central business city part faces problems of traffic congestion and obsolescence of building and sites. C. Gentrification means change in the social character of neighborhood as a result of professional higher income groups seeking residence in central city location. Gentrification is socially important in attracting some middle to high income residents back to central areas. Gentrification is, so to say, selective in nature, not only in terms of population to attract but also of the conditions under which it occurs. In the USA, most of the major cities are now experiencing varying levels of gentrification in their central area neighborhoods. In Britain, the process has occurred in a few cities, namely Bristol and London. D. Megapolitan development, one of the most important facets of urbanization in the developed countries is the growth of cities, not in terms of population, but in terms of area. Here the cities expand physically and the same number of people is living in the cities but at low densities. The examples of megapolitan type of development are characteristics of Atlantic seaboard of USA, and in Japan it has appeared naturally, and in the Netherlands it has appeared by design and planning. The United States megapolis extends over 600 miles from Boston to Washington, D.C. The Tokaido megapolis extends from Tokyo, Yokohama to Osaka, Kobe, Kyoto, and the Randstad megapolis comprises of three major cities of Amsterdam, Rotterdam, and The Hague. This process has also started in developing countries. 1.2.3 Trends in the developing countries. Some of the trends of urbanization in developing countries are as follows. 1. Urbanization in the developed countries is higher as compared to the developing countries. As per UN statistics, the percentage of population residing in the urban areas of developed countries is 79.1%, while that of less developed countries is 46.8%. 2. The urbanization in the African region is found to be slightly higher than the Asian region. However, in both the region, urbanization is comparatively lower than those of Europe and USA. 3. Urbanization takes place without much industrialization and strong economic base. Lack of industrialization-led urbanization has resulted in growth of unorganized sector, which is characterized by lower wage rate and poor service condition, which affect the quality of life of urban population. 4. Unplanned urbanization in developing countries has led to growth of urban slum areas characterized by low quality housing, poor sanitation, access to unsafe drinking water, etc. 5. It is not a flight of fancy, but delicately, the current pattern of urbanization in developing countries is alarming if viewed from a historical, spatial, and cross-country perspective. The unplanned urbanization greatly concerns most of the government in these countries. Some of the features of urbanization as mentioned by the WHO are as follows. 1. More than half of the world's population now live in cities. 2. By 2030, 6 out of every 10 people will be city dwellers, which will rise to 7 out of every 10 people by 2050. 3. 1 in 3 urban dwellers lives in slums. 4. Urban air pollution kills around 1.2 million people each year around the world, mainly due to cardiovascular and respiratory diseases. Tuberculosis incidence is much higher in big cities. 5. Urban environment tends to discourage physical activity and promote unhealthy food consumption. 1.2.4 Trends of urbanization in India. The trends of urbanization in India are as follows. 1. Urban population in India was 0.37% in 1951, has risen to 27.81% in 2001 and 31.16% in 2011. According to 2011 census, 377 million populations live in urban areas of India. Table 1.4. Population of India by residence. Look at the screen. 2. In India, there is lopsided urbanization, and the growth of population in Class I cities having more than 1 lakh population is higher as compared to other cities. According to 2001 census, 69% of urban population lived in Class 1 cities. The percentage of urban population in Class 1, 2, 3, IV, V and V cities according to census 2001 are 68.6, 9.67, 12, 26.8, 2.3 and 0.2%, respectively. Besides, census 2001 also shows that nearly 37% of population live in million-plus cities. 3. The top 3 states in terms of percentage of urban population in India. According to 2011 census are Maharashtra, 13.5%, Uttar Pradesh, 11.8%, and Tamil Nadu, 9.3%. Most of the northeastern states are in the bottom line of the urban population. Mizoram, 0.1%, Arunachal Pradesh, 0.1%, and Sikkim, negligible. 4. The top 3 cities in terms of urban population in India according to the figure of 2011 census are Mumbai, 18.41 million, Delhi, 16.31 million, and Kolkata, 14.11 million. 5. The spurt in urban population in India is largely due to a. Migration, b. Natural increase, and c. Inclusion of new areas under urban. 4. There has been a consistent increase in both male and female literacy rate in urban areas. The steady increase in female literacy has reduced the gender gap from 13.41% in 2001 to 9.75% in 2011. Data Profile Urban Agglomerations India, 2011 Census, Provisional. Look at the screen. 7. The sex ratio in urban India is lower as compared to rural. The sex ratio in 2001 and 2011 census are 900 and 926 respectively, while in rural it is 946 and 947 respectively for 2001 and 2011. 8. The growth of urban population in urban areas has given rise to urban agglomerations. In 2001, there were 35 urban agglomerations in India and it has risen to 53 in 2011, having a population more than 1 million or more. 1.3 Causes of urbanization. The causes of urbanization are many, however, a few important reasons of urbanization are narrated below. 1. Agricultural development. Development of agriculture due to farm mechanization has resulted in fewer demands for labor force in the agriculture sector. These surplus labor usually migrate to urban sector for employment and livelihood. The laborers deployed in the construction and other low menial work and self-employed activities are largely migrants from rural areas. It is also seen that agriculture development in Punjab has resulted in migration of rural Punjab population not only to the cities of different states of India but also to the cities of other countries of the world. 2. Industrialization. Generally, it is observed that industrialization takes place in and around the cities. This industrialization helps people add value to their product, and this in turn helps more and more people to earn livelihood and settle down in the outskirts of the cities. The industrial workforces in the cities are mostly migrants from the rural areas.
3. Market forces. The proliferation of consumer goods industries through the play of market forces leads to an increase in the importance of the market-oriented locations. Towns provide large ready-made markets for consumer goods and thus attract new industries for the manufacturing of these goods. These new industries and the supply of labor in turn increase the size of the potential market. A snowball effect is set in motion and urban growth becomes self-sustaining. 4. Growth services centers. With the growth of cities, the living standards of the city dwellers rises, and along with these trading increases, and the tertiary sector services by their very nature tend to be centralized in towns, providing retailing, entertainment, catering, banking, insurance and administration. As more and more services are required, it attracts more and more people and gradually the urban area grows. 5. Emergence of towns as socio-cultural centers. Nowadays towns have become the epicenter of most of the socio-cultural activities of the nation-state. They have emerged more as a center of entertainment. Towns with facilities such as cinemas, theaters, art galleries, museum, parks, etc. act as magnets to the surrounding population. Many people simply enjoy being near the center of urban life. Because of the concentration of many socio-cultural activities, urban areas have become zones of immense opportunities. People concentrate more and more in urban areas as success in urban areas is more attainable. The glamour of staying in urban areas becomes much more compared to rural areas. The influx of people makes the urban areas overcrowded. 4. Improvement in transport and communication. Development of nation state focuses on improvement in infrastructure facilities and greater connectivity between rural and urban areas. More roads are constructed which improves the connectivity between rural and urban areas. As a result of improved communication and transport facilities, the migration of population from rural to urban areas becomes faster and easier. As the job opportunities available are manifold compared to rural areas, more and more people prefer to migrate to urban areas, leading to rise in urban population. The development of rail communication in backward areas also promoted migration of population from these areas to the towns, cities and metropolis. 7. Natural increase of population. This is one of the most important factors for the current urbanization in the world. Although the upper and middle class population of urban areas have lower fertility, leading to natural increase of population in urban areas. In fact, the growth and natural increase of population in urban areas are lower compared to rural areas, but it cannot be overemphasized as one of the factors of increase in population in urban areas. All these factors are responsible for urbanization. 1.4 Urbanization and urban problems. The rapid urbanization has brought in its wave a host of problems, particularly for the government of the developing countries. Although higher income is an added benefits to the urban dwellers, yet urban poverty and unemployment and a host of problems associated with pollution and congestion are the most noted indicators of urban failures. According to Tolley and Thomas, there are 3 types of externalities associated with over-urbanization, and these are: 1. First, environmental externalities such as those connected with pollution and congestion, meaning that cities' sizes are large, maximum national income and welfare. 2. Second, protected employment that maintain urban wages above market clearing levels may make cities large or smaller than they otherwise would be, depending on the elasticity for labor. And 3. The attractiveness of urban areas can lead to excessive urbanization. On the whole, although urbanization is contributing towards economic development and growth of a nation, yet the over-urbanization has caused a sundry of problems to developing countries. Some of the important problems are given below. Some of the problems due to urbanization are as follows. 1.4.1 Urbanization and health. The World Summit on Sustainable Development identified health as an integral component of sustainable development and called for a more efficient, equitable, accessible and appropriate healthcare system for the population that rely on them. Urban areas, particularly the slums, are exposed to many types of health problems because of unhealthy environment and poor living conditions. The overcrowded and congested housing in the urban slum areas expose the slum dwellers to high rates of infectious diseases such as pneumonia, tuberculosis, and diarrhea. Besides, the overcrowding combined with poor sanitary conditions and inadequate waste disposal creates conditions favorable to spread of infectious diseases. People in general and children in particular are susceptible to diseases when they are born and brought up in an environment characterized by overcrowding, poor hygiene, excessive noise and lack of space for recreation and study. Moreover, like the children, women and particularly pregnant women are vulnerable to environmental contaminants. Pregnant women's exposure to filthy environment increases the risk of abortion, birth defects, fetal growth and perinatal death. Many studies have shown that exposing pregnant women to carbon monoxide can damage the health of the fetus. Among the general population in the slum of the cities, some of the diseases found occurring are HIV, AIDS, tuberculosis, yellow fever and dengue. According to Trivedi, Sareen, and Dhyani, 2008, the range of disorders and deviances associated with urbanization is enormous and includes psychoses, depression, sociopathy, substance abuse, alcoholism, crime, delinquency, etc. Such negative impact often results in unreasonable means which may result in communal violence. WHO has rightly remarked that, while urban living continues to offer many opportunities, including potential access to better healthcare, today's urban environments can concentrate health risks and introduce new hazards. 1.4.2 Urbanization and education. Although access to education is not a problem in urban areas, however, affordability is a problem particularly for the urban poor. Urbanization has boosted higher education in metropolis and cities, With the proliferation of cities, schools, colleges and universities have been established. As a result, literacy rate in urban areas are comparatively higher than that of the rural areas. However, education in the urban slum areas is still a concern. The migration of rural population to urban and semi-urban areas has put tremendous pressure on educational infrastructure and manpower in urban areas. Numbers of NGOs are seen to be working in education sector in urban slum. Despite free education, children of urban poor families are found to be engaged in income-earning activities. Education for urban poor is still a luxury, particularly as far as the quality and higher education are concerned. 1.4.3 Urbanization and Sanitation. World Bank, 1992, remarked that poor are the agents and victims of environmental degradation. The urban sanitation is a big problem as the provision of sanitation infrastructure is falling short of the growing population in urban areas. Customarily, sanitation means safe disposal of waste. It is estimated that 40 million people reside in slum without adequate sanitation. The drainage system in many unorganized slums either not exist, and if existing are in a bad shape and in bits, resulting in blockage of wastewater. The open drainage passing through the slum colonies deeply affect the health of the people. Urban garbage disposal is one of the critical garbage management which has always remained a major challenge before the municipal areas and administration. In megacities, urban people in general and children in particular suffer from many urban environment related health problems because of exposure to unhygienic garbage disposal. The National Urban Sanitation Policy has stipulated the norm for total sanitation of cities, those that are open defecation-free city, universal access to toilets for all including the urban poor, elimination of manual scavenging, safe collection, treatment and disposal of all wastewater, etc. 1.4.4 Urbanization and safe drinking water. Securing a safe water supply in urban areas is an increasing problem in most of the urban areas of developing countries. The United Nations recognizes access to clean drinking water as a human right, but it remains out of reach of millions of people. According to UN statistics, some 400 million people in Africa live in urban areas, but as of 2008, 55 million of them lacked access to clean drinking water. According to Stockholm International Water Institute, global effort to improve access to drinking water has been hindered by rapid urbanization. It has been remarked that bad water kills more people than HIV, malaria and wars, together affecting the lives of families and the economic development of many countries around this world. Most of the urban areas do not have adequate access to safe and reliable supply of drinking water. The safe drinking water surveillance lays emphasis on following 5 important aspects. 1. Quality of drinking water. 2. Quantity of drinking water. 3. Accessibility of people to safe drinking water. 4. Affordability, that is paying capacity of the people towards water tariff, and 5. The continuity, that is percentage of time a household spend for fetching which drinking water is available. Although the percentage of households having access to safe drinking water is higher in urban areas as compared to rural areas, yet the poor management and distribution of water has resulted in unequal access to safe drinking water. The breakage in the water pipe sometimes leads to the contamination of drinking water sources. This has resulted in outbreak of waterborne diseases. The water shortage during summer and water contamination during the rainy season is problems which need to be tackled. 1.4.5 Urbanization and housing problem. One of the key challenges of urbanization is to provide healthy housing to urban population. However, the rising urban population has created serious housing problem, thus leading to growth of urban slum featured with poor housing. Excessive urbanization has created manifold problems such as the haphazard growth of unauthorized housing colonies, and slum and squatter settlements has become a well-known phenomenon in the metropolitan cities like Delhi, Mumbai, Kolkata, Ahmedabad, etc. Ricard Arnott has pointed out that the unauthorized and squatter housing are astoundingly high in low-income and lower middle-income countries. The underdeveloped countries are unable to provide healthy housing to its urban population, particularly migrating from rural to urban areas. 1.4.6 Urbanization and pollution. Urbanization and pollution has become the most common phenomenon in mega cities. The growing numbers of vehicles and slums have escalated the urban pollution problems in big cities. Besides this, outdoor population caused by Vehicles and factories, the indoor air pollution caused by the use of fuel stove and firewoods, etc. by slum population has increased the risk of chronic obstructive pulmonary disease and acute respiratory infections in childhood. It is one of the most important causes of deaths among children below 5 years age in India. Besides, car, factories and burning wastes also emit dangerous gases that affect the air quality in the cities. Dangerous gases like carbon dioxide and nitrogen oxides cause respiratory diseases, has long effect on physical environment and human health.
1.4.7 Urbanization and poverty. It is remarked that the most widely observed and acutely felt urban problem in developing countries is the large number of poor and unemployed people in cities. According to ILO, 1/3 of the world's urban population, approximately 400 million people, were living in poverty. IN has also noted that poverty-related problems such as overcrowding, hunger, disease, crime and malnutrition are increasingly prevalent in cities of many countries, both developing as well as developed. Economic development and urbanization are closely correlated. For example, in India, cities contribute 55% to country's GDP. Therefore, for India, urbanization is considered an important component of economic growth. However, on the other hand, it is interesting to note that the ratio of urban poverty in some of the megacities is even higher than the rural poverty, which is termed as urbanization of poverty. This urban poverty is a responsible factor for several problems in urban areas such as housing and shelter, water, sanitation, health, education, social security and livelihood. It has been rightly remarked that with growing poverty and slums, Indian cities are grappling the challenges of making the cities sustainable, i.e., inclusive, productive, efficient and manageable. Eradication of poverty from urban areas was a major challenge before the government. Thus, urban poor constitute nearly 20% of urban population. Thus, unplanned urbanization has escalated the size of urban poverty. 1.4.8 Urbanization and unemployment. Generating employment for the increasing number of urban population is a challenge for the government. It is said that nearly 45% of the urban households are engaged in unorganized sector. The urban underemployment and casual employment is another problem which has resulted in poor quality of living among the urban poor. The ILO has remarked that most urban unemployment in developing countries takes the form of underemployment, in which people are obliged to undertake any available economic activity, however productive and unproductive, because these are no social safety nets and no alternatives in the form of unemployment insurance or job training in the formal sector. In sub-Saharan Africa, the urban informal sector is estimated to employ more than 60% of the urban labor force at extremely low incomes. In Latin America and the Caribbean, 83% of all new jobs created between 1990–93 were in the informal sector. The bulk of these jobs are poorly remunerated, unsafe and of low productivity. The large majority of Latin America's urban poor work in the informal sector. 1.4.9 Urbanization and transport issues. Transport is one of the factors which influences the rate and pattern of urbanization. In a globalized world, urban transport planning requires road layout, traffic lights, and vehicle passages. The number of vehicles plying in the cities is not in consonance with the capacity of city road. Another aspect of transport problem is the provision of public transport and its poor interface with the private transport. One of the exponents of urban transport has proposed economic rationale for preferring small and less capital-intensive vehicles over large metropolitan buses. Another problem of urban transport is the number of accidents and causalities because of rush driving. All these problems are associated with urban transport. In fact, most of governments do not have urban transport policy. 1.4.10 Urbanization and urban administration. Unbridled urbanization can pose surmountable challenge before the administration and municipal governance. Problem will arise as how to organize new administrative structure and manpower development, how to prevent uncontrolled expansion, how to organize transport and communication system, how to finance public services, prepare master plans etc. Prioritizing the needs amidst socio-political pressure is a challenge before the district administration. Besides civic problems, the urban administration has to tackle other problems which population brings forth, such as people resentments and disregarding rules and regulations, spoiled public and private property and showing utter disregard for the rights and feelings of fellow citizens. Other issues like illegal migration, trafficking, etc. can pose problems for urban administration. 1.5 Sustainable Urban Development. The report of the World Commission on Environment and Development, WCED, envisaged that sustainable development has now assumed a broader significance as a process of change in which the use of resources, the direction of investments, the orientation of technological development and institutional changes must all contribute to enhancing the quality of human life, today as well as tomorrow, within the carrying capacity of supporting economic systems. It broadly emphasizes on the establishment of a condition of ecological and economic stability that is sustainable far into the future. The United Nations Environment Programme and its partners have been persuading the nations of the short and long-term benefits to be gained from the sound environmental management of natural resources. WCED declared that all human beings have the fundamental right to an environment adequate for their health and well-being. There has to be sustainable development which will be durable and beneficial to the present and future generation. Sustainable urban development must be the aim of all developing countries. The UNCHS, United Nations Conference on Human Settlement, defined sustainable city is a city where achievements in social, economic and physical development are made to last. A sustainable city has lasting supply of the natural resources on which its development depends and a lasting security from environmental hazards which may threaten development achievements. Sustainable urban development is important because urban areas nowadays contribute significantly to the gross domestic product. They contribute increasingly to export and is a rich place for capital formation. Cities offer quality education and healthcare, arts and science, technology and innovation and transport and communication. Some of the prerequisites of sustainable urban development are: 1. Income and output to be produced at a constant or even increasing return to scale. 2. City should assure minimum level of living to its inhabitants. 3. A shift in the attitude of the people in the direction towards enterprise and equity. 4. City should become self-reliant and sustain itself without much depending on external sources. 5. The developmental institutions undergo a continual renewal to maintain their relevance to the needs of the urban areas. 6. Participation of private sector, NGOs and CVOs should be encouraged in order to maintain the level of development. 7. Management of urban growth to promote minimal use of environmental capital, while meeting social and economic goals. The Agenda 21 of WCED held in 1992 in Rio de Janeiro for promoting sustainable human settlement development is: A. Providing adequate shelter to all. B. Improving human settlements management. C. Promoting sustainable land use planning and management. D. Promoting the integrated provision of environmental infrastructure, water, sanitation, drainage, hazardous and solid waste management. A. Promoting sustainable energy and transport systems in human settlements. F. Promoting human settlement planning and management in disaster-prone areas. G. Promoting sustainable construction industry activities. H. Promoting human resources development and capacity building for human settlement development. To summarize, the aim of sustainable urban development is to ensure a sustainable city to the urban dwellers for improving the well-being and quality of life. 1.6 Summary. Many cities in the world are experiencing growth in urban population. The globalization and migration of population from the rural to urban areas has hastened the process of urbanization in India. In India, the metropolitan cities like Delhi, Mumbai, Chennai and Kolkata are experiencing pressure of urban population growth. The growth of urban population has given rise to sundry of urban problems such as unemployment, housing, sanitation, safe drinking water, etc. In this unit you studied about the meaning, features and problems of urbanization. Thank you. Subscribe to our channel for more updates, and we will see you with the next chapter.